Hello, this is Anna Laura Brown of AnnaLauraBrown.com, and in this video I'm going to talk with you about 5 really good replacements for wheat flour for those of us that are gluten-free. So if you have been wondering about the scoop about gluten-free flour replacements that work really well to replace wheat flour, stay tuned and keep watching as I'm going to share these 5 with you, and I'm also going to talk with you a little bit about some of the intricacies and more specific details that you need to know about each of these 5 replacements. So the first one is buckwheat flour, and you can see here this is the Arrowhead Mills brand. There are other brands out there. This just happens to be the one that I have found is the most readily available. I personally got this one at Whole Foods. They do also have it like at Sprouts and a few other grocery store chains. However, I have found that it's not in stock at places like Amazon or Walmart on a fairly consistent basis, so you pretty much have to go to, some of your other grocery stores. And a couple of things that buckwheat flour is really good for. Personally, the main things that I like to use it for is for pancakes and waffles. You can also substitute it with other types of baking recipes. A couple things to keep in mind though, because it is just straight buckwheat flour, so it doesn't have xanthan gum. It's not a mix, so it's not one of those ones that you're going to be able to make any kind of a baked good that has to rise or, that needs any kind of thickener with it or that kind of thing. So like I said, pancakes and waffles are two of the best things. You could probably make some pretty good cakes as well. So use it to make like you would make instead of a whole wheat carrot cake, make like a buckwheat carrot type cake with it would probably turn out pretty good. I haven't personally tried that yet, but I have seen recipes out there floating around. There's lots and lots of different recipes of cooking with buckwheat flour. And even though the name says wheat, like with buckwheat, it's a completely different plant that does not, of course, contain gluten, because that's the whole purpose of what we're talking about here. So that's primarily your buckwheat flour. The next thing that I have here is this Bob's Red Mill gluten-free 1-to-1 baking flour. Now this is a mix, so this does actually contain, it says sweet white rice flour, whole grain brown rice flour, potato starch, whole grain sorghum flour, tapioca flour, and xanthan gum. So it's a mix, so this one works as literally as a 1-to-1 replacement in any recipe that calls for wheat flour or, white flour, anything like that. And I've used it really successfully to literally replace it in any recipe. So this one would be really good with cookies, cakes, any recipe that specifically states that you need to add xanthan gum. If you're using a gluten-free flour mix that doesn't contain it, this already has it. So that's an advantage to it. If you want something a little bit more economical, the Bob's Red Mill brand that I just showed you and mentioned to you is a little bit more expensive. You can find, like at Walmart, that has a great value gluten-free flour mix that also has xanthan gum already in it. I can't remember what all the ingredients are, as I actually don't have any on me at the moment. But that is a little bit more of an economical option that, like I said, is readily available at Walmart. So there's really nobody watching this that shouldn't have access to it. And so that would be the third one. And that just similar to this Bob's Red Mill, you could replace it in any recipe without really any restrictions. Okay, so then the fourth one would be like a tapioca starch or an arrowroot powder. Now both of these are somewhat similar. They come from similar plants, or just different parts of the same plant, I think, actually. And these make really good replacements, like if you want to make like some gluten-free crepes, or if you are doing some kind of a recipe like a soup or a stew that calls for you to add in some flour, then it works really well. What it doesn't work well for is it's not good on its own for cookies, cakes, pancakes, waffles, things like that, just because it doesn't really have any kind of rising mechanism, and it's basically just a thinner flour that allows, for like a thickening in recipes. So that's why, adding it to like soup, stews, that kind of thing works pretty well. Or you can combine it with, like another type of gluten-free flour to completely replace the white flour or the wheat flour. And it's the reasoning why, like the Bob's Red Mill one that I just talked a little bit ago, actually has tapioca flour as one of the ingredients. Okay, so then last but certainly not least is brown rice flour. So brown rice flour also makes a really good replacement for wheat flour. And brown rice flour like it implies, is flour made out of brown rice. And one of the advantages to it is it's pretty economical. In fact, it's more economical than buckwheat flour and some of the other options that I have mentioned. You can also find it pretty readily as well. They like arrowroot mills, just like I just showed you the package earlier with the buckwheat flour, carries it. And that one I actually was able to find pretty easily at Walmart. So I don't currently have any in stock, but I probably will get some. And that one, you can use pretty easily with, like pancakes, waffles. Could replace it with baking recipes, but like I said, with a lot of recipes, you'd probably have to add in xanthan gum as well because it's not a mix. And what xanthan gum does in gluten-free baking, in case you weren't aware, is it adds in kind of that stickiness. So the main reason that, a lot of recipes will say that they contain wheat flour, for example, like cream of chicken soup has wheat flour in it, even though it's not like a baked good, is because it adds in kind of like a stickiness or a thickness to it. And a lot of the regular gluten-free flours don't have that. So that's why a lot of times, a lot of the recipes will say you have to add xanthan gum if it's not already included. So with brown rice flour, that is one that in some recipes you may also have to add in the xanthan gum. So anyhow, I hope that you found this information helpful about 5 different replacements that you have for wheat flour for those of us that are gluten-free. I will include some more information and some links below that you can check out to purchase these products, and also as well some information about my gluten-free lifestyle journal. It also comes with some videos, training, and I also offer free consultations to help you implement a gluten-free lifestyle if that's something that you need, and we'll include the link to that below. So take care and have a great day.